So it's gonna, we're kind of warming up here. It's generating its live image. And then when the red, right now we're live. Henry McClure live. We got Doug Billings in the Glass Houses studio and April McCoy. Thank you.
Thanks for letting us be here.
Thank you.
Well, so where'd you ever get the delusion I was a big deal?
Well, you are a big deal. You're a legend in your own time.
In my own mind.
No, I support your run for mayor of this town, Topeka.
Well, thank you.
And I think that you obviously have great influence in this town. Your humility serves you well, but you do. Yeah.
So what I want to do as mayor is I want to have a relationship with everybody under the dome, because I think over the 65 years I've walked this earth, Kansas, the state of Kansas and Topeka, I don't think they have a relationship like we should. But so this isn't about me today. Tell me all about yourself. How'd you two meet and decide to run for office?
I'll let April tell the story about how we met, because she tells it so well, and then I'll segue into why we're running.
Okay.
So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So this gentleman right here, we were both, I'm the vice president of Kansas Patriots. We started the organization back when the election was stolen in 2020. And so we were paying attention to, social media, and we saw Doug. He was holding a Determined Patriotism conference down in Branson, Missouri a few years back. And Sean and I were like, we're all in. I mean, he had Devin Nunes there, Mike Lindell, Alex Stone, so many other speakers. And so we went down there, and it was fabulous. All the information, we got so much information in such a very short period of time, and our family grew overnight. And Doug is one of those. He's a real patriot, and we consider him a family member. So.
Well, my mom, if she were here, she'd say, well, tell me all about yourself.
Well, we thank you for that. She tells a great story, and the Determined Patriotism Conference is sprung from my podcast, The Right Side, which was started in 2020 after, as April mentioned, the theft of an American presidential election and the COVID nonsense and so forth. Prior to that, for 23 years prior, I was in corporate America and rose through the ranks of human resources, starting off in the telecommunications business. I went into automotive and then wound up in healthcare, and rose up through the ranks, became the vice president of human resources. And when COVID hit,
Of where?
well, I'm not going to mention the company, but it's the largest owner-operator of hospitals in the world.
Okay.
Anybody who knows anything about medical companies can figure it out. They're based in Nashville, Tennessee, but they own hospitals.
Okay.
And I was the vice president of human resources. My primary job was to negotiate multi-billion-dollar deals, collective bargaining agreements with unions and so forth on behalf of the corporation. So well over 250 contracts, billions of dollars, from healthcare coverage to benefits and pensions to hours of the day, policies and procedures, HR stuff. So when COVID hit, to make a very long story short, they came to me and said, we need you to write policies and procedures that are going to lock down hospitals and keep people out of preventative care, because we've lost 10,000 people. We don't know what this thing is, but we've got to be careful. So I scratched my head and said, hang on a second. I asked our staff to look into it. We're the largest owner-operator of hospitals in the world. How many death certificates do we have access to of those 10? Because, come on, people, God rest their souls, certainly must have died at one of our facilities if we're the largest such facility. So of the 10,000 people, we had access to 7,000 death certificates. Of those 7,000, only 125 died of COVID when it was the primary cause of death, and every one of those were over the age of 80. So I
Over 80.
Over 80 years old, yes. Now, there were people on that list who, the unfortunate fellow, just as one example, who died in a motorcycle crash of severe head trauma, but who had COVID. They listed that as a COVID death. But I wanted to distinguish, he didn't die of COVID, you understand that, right? He died of the motorcycle crash, but he had COVID. I wanted to know who died of it when COVID was the primary cause. 125 out of 7,000. Every one of them over the age of 80.
So what's the numbers? What is that anyway? Okay, so we take 80, right?
The age of 80.
You're already over the standard life expectancy, right?
Correct.
And So what's the, I'm not the numbers guy.
The number of what?
Well, so what's the percentage of 125?
Oh my gosh, you're asking the wrong guy. I know I have a lot of talents and I can win a room when I'm speaking in front of them, but if you're asking me to do
Yeah, I'm
math, I have
sorry.
to have a
I
calculator.
didn't mean to do that.
But it's 0.000 something.
Yeah.
Percent.
It's nothing.
Yeah, it's basically zero. I mean, really, we're getting it's zero.
So are we gonna talk about the guy that put the COVID patients in the retirement homes? Are we gonna
Oh,
do
yeah,
that tonight?
well, I mean,
Today?
but that's all part of it. So I had my staff put together a really nice presentation. And then the night before, April knows the story well, the night before, I'm scheduled to go speak to the executive committee about these policies and the new procedures they wanted to adopt. I'm watching Fox News, back in the days when I used to watch Fox News. And there's a story. The hospitals are overrun. They're taking dead bodies out in freezer trucks. Oh my gosh, they're burying them in mass graves in New York City. It's incredible. What is this thing, COVID? It's a pandemic. It's biblical. And I'm watching, I'm going, that's one of our hospitals. I was just there a couple of months ago negotiating another $1 billion deal with these unions. And it's in the heart of New York City. Think about it. New York City has a high homeless population. Every month, twice a month, a freezer truck, a refrigerator truck, shows up and takes the unclaimed dead bodies and buries them in Potter's Field. It's been going on since 1822, yet they're spinning it into this new nightmare having to do with COVID. So I got a good chuckle out of that and thought, wow, the legacy media is misleading the country on this entire story. I go in the next day with my presentation. That story didn't alter my presentation. It just made me realize, in hindsight, the dangers of legacy media. So I go into the presentation and say, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to write policies, procedures, and so forth that will shut out, women from getting mammograms, men from getting prostate exams, and then they get sicker as a result of our shutting down. And I was fired. So that's why I started the right side with Doug Billings, converted a spare bedroom into a studio. And to get to your ultimate question, why governor? The truth is, I don't really want to run for governor. I would much rather sit behind my golden microphone.
How do we say that?
Well, you say because you feel called like you're the only one that can do it. You're the only one that can speak truth to the mayorship of Topeka. You're the only one that can speak with that amount of passion. I know. I just met you 10 minutes ago, and I can tell that.
Well, we
I
got
feel
here
the same way about the governorship.
We got here because of the Civil War. We were Yankee chaplain, on the McClure side.
Yeah.
But I was telling April a minute ago that church, I'm an Episcopalian, I go to Grace Cathedral. I'll show you a picture out here. You can see it from where you're sitting, but my grandfather's in front of it in 1919.
I love it.
But I feel like the person putting a couple of pennies in.
Yeah.
And trying to give what I've got. So I'm not going to take a salary. And I'm not going to take campaign donations. But I want to direct my campaign donations to the right guys.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
So you can see where to donate.
Yeah.
To Doug. So tell me about the dynamics once. So the current guy goes over, or Lieutenant Governor goes over to Commerce, right?
Right.
So is that where you would go? Or
It's wherever he wants me to go.
Well, to be determined. I mean, we'll talk about that. She's going to be. I'll tell you this. April McCoy is going to be the most substantial lieutenant governor that the state has ever had. She's not going to be just a figurehead that shows up at events when the governor can't make it. She's going to have a real impact about policy and about the direction of this state.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, utilize her talents. I didn't really know the system.
Yeah. Well, we haven't spoken publicly. This whole thing is very young. The campaign is a long one. We've got 14 months to go.
You better start planning.
She's going to win votes that I would never be able to capture. Obviously, look at her. She's professional, she's articulate, and she will reach a demographic that I could never reach. And so she also loves this country, this republic, and she loves Kansas. And she's going to go to work in her own life, and she can tell her own story. She was the top sales representative. She's a businesswoman. She can handle industries that are often filled with a majority of men, and she can hold her own ground, believe me.
Well, say something. Come on. Chime in. No, come on. So, you're governor and you're lieutenant governor. Where would you see yourself fitting in to a cabinet position or a secretary of one of the divisions? I mean, you're an insider now. You're lieutenant governor.
Well, I'm very, you know, I pray all the time.
Okay.
So God is my compass. So I'm going to let Him lead me where I'm supposed to go. I know that my passion is that, you know, I love people.
Okay.
And that's why I'm here. I love people. And
Well, I mean, that's a good answer. I mean,
my husband is a Purple Heart veteran.
I know that guy.
Yeah, and so I'm very passionate about our veterans, making sure that they're taken care of. Our law enforcement is very important to me. There's a lot of things that we'll be discussing today, but shouldn't go into.
We can imagine her as heading up and being part of a number of cabinet opportunities and positions and tasks for it. On day one, for example, of my governorship, I've already promised the state of Kansas and its people that I'm going to sign a few executive orders, day one. The first one is to protect our election integrity, because if we don't have election integrity in the state, nothing else that we work for, whether it's protecting our children, our Second Amendment, property rights, whatever it may be, if we can't protect our elections, then it's all lost. So day one, number one executive order, Election Integrity Task Force, and we're going to investigate people who destroyed ballots when they were told not to. We're going to investigate whether or not there were crimes committed. We're going to get rid of the machines, and we're going to address what the intent of the Founding Fathers was. And this is really an overarching principle for the entire campaign. And April will have key input into all of this. The intent of the Founding Fathers, I want your audience to let that percolate through them. The Founding Fathers had no intent to have election month, for example. This is just one example. They had no intention of it. They had an intention of election day with paper ballots, and the count is done that day, and then we have results. We have early voting, which has turned it into election month, this and that. Now, recently there was legislation passed that says 7 p.m. election day, the votes have got to be dealt with and counted. No more coming in, trickling in days later, which is an awesome step. Now we just have to get to election day. And the argument is, well, Doug, that's an inconvenience. I don't want to wait for 5 hours in line. And I talked about it on my show, and I said, well, I wonder if people like Sean McCoy, April's husband, who's a Purple Heart veteran, would have felt inconvenienced going to the battlefield as he defended our rights to vote. So don't give me the inconvenience thing. Let's buckle down and be what I call determined in our patriotism and vote on election day and get it. That's just one example. April could fit in on our child and human trafficking task force or another executive order where I'm going to order the Kansas Highway Patrol and the Kansas National Guard to shut it down, to hunt down these animals that are trafficking our children. I'm going to ask Chris Kobach to engage the KBI to prosecute these criminals, these monsters, and we're going to give victims justice. Those are just a couple examples. But we're on the roll, and she could fit in any one of those things and make a real difference.
So, are you okay with paper ballots even during election month and no machines?
Paper ballots must be watermarked paper ballots.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I volunteered to be a poll worker, and then I volunteered to be an election judge, and I got to know Andrew Howell, who runs Shawnee County,
Okay.
and I think he runs that like a well-oiled machine.
Mm-hmm.
And all the procedures that I had to go through, I mean, it was very educational as a voter to see the checks and balances and the redundancies and making sure there's no fraud. And I was impressed with Andrew's machine and how he made all that work.
Yeah, my comments are not attacking people like Andrew.
No, I get that. But I just want to say that I want paper ballots.
Yep.
I want watermarked paper ballots.
Yep.
And I don't mind, I like going in early to vote early.
Yeah, and I understand that. It's become a convenience for millions of people.
Yeah.
But I'm a purist, and the Founding Fathers didn't intend that.
But you know why I like it? Because it takes the pressure off the election judges. Man, there was a lot of pressure, because if I'm going to do something, I take it serious. And sometimes I had to get involved. Hey, you can't wear that Trump hat, and I'm voting for Trump. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
It's the rules.
Yeah.
As a judge, and as a judge, you run that polling place. It's a lot.
Yeah. People will. In fact, the current Secretary of State has said that I am attacking poll watchers when I say that I want to move it to election day, and that people that don't believe that there are election integrity issues, which I have said. I said because people ask me, Doug, what do you think about this rhino issue? What is a rhino and how do you tell what one is? Well, what I've always said is that the litmus test for me, one of them, there's a couple of them you can use, but one of them is that if any elected official or anyone seeking office says to you that there's no election integrity issues in the state of Kansas, that's a rhino. And there are election integrity issues. Scott Schwab will say that I'm attacking the poll workers. When I say this, I'm attacking Scott Schwab.
I didn't feel attacked.
I'm saying that Schwab destroyed ballots that were under order and protection not to be destroyed.
Well, that's not cool.
It's not cool.
Let's talk about that.
And so we're going to look into that. I'm going to ask.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask Chris Kobach to look into it. I'm going to work with him. Chris and I know Chris. April is really a friend of Chris Kobach's, and so we intend to partner with him on multiple issues. This is just one of them. And this is not a threat to anybody, running for office or not. I'm just simply saying there were mistakes made. And when you destroy ballots that were supposed to be protected, that's a problem. That's a real problem. And we're going to look at the people of Kansas don't deserve that. They deserve a full, transparent governorship and lieutenant governor position who will go after their rights and protect them.
You know what I like about what you all are saying today is, and I try to tell this to, I try to say this to the naive. You know, look at what's going on a national level, and I like the changes that are going on. I'm probably a big fan of Kash Patel more than anybody. And I like Pete Hegseth. I think these are, and Pam Bondi, you know, taking out a federal judge in handcuffs and taking his name off the door. There's some changes that are taking place.
Yeah.
But if we're naive to think the same things aren't happening right here in River City.
Yeah, right.
We are.
Spot on, 100%. I'm friends with Kash Patel. He's been on my show several times. I've met
No
him.
way.
I've spoken with him in
You're
person.
my hero.
And so we're going to bring him to Kansas.
I want him right here.
We'll get him on the show. But we're going to bring him. We're going to bring Pete Hegseth. We're going to get Space Force in Kansas.
Oh, we got Forbes Air Force Base.
I know it. We're going to put it right down there in Fort Riley somewhere. But
We've got the largest refueling depot in the country here.
I've met with Trump 3 times. We're talking about all sorts. Now, Trump's not endorsed us, but I've met him by virtue of my show.
Yeah.
And the other day, we get a very interesting call about SpaceX and building a SpaceX plant in Wichita. Kansas is already the aerospace capital.
Topeka needs it.
Why don't we do it there in Topeka then?
I'm calling the Dawn after this show. Telling you, or Elon.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things in the hopper that we're very excited about.
Hey, what did you think about Doge? What did you think about Elon and his work?
I loved it. I loved it so much that the third executive order that I'm going to sign on my first day in office is making KDOJ a cabinet-level position.
Oh, cool.
Working with the legislature to make that happen. I'll need their help. Our friends in the Republican Party are going to have to help me accomplish that and confirm a leader of that department. I know there's a COGE, C-O-G-E, in Kansas. Nobody's heard of it. Nobody in the public, nobody knows there's a Doge element in Kansas government. The government may know it, but John and Jane Doe on the streets of Topeka don't know it.
No, I've got it.
This is going to change.
I've been promoting it because we have Shawnee County Doge. We've got a NGO that gives away money to charities. And they're just stealing our money. They're stealing our taxpayer money.
Yeah, those days are over. I've had a team of Kansas bankers and accountants and tech experts looking at this. So the number is about $1 billion in fraud, waste, and abuse that we're going to find with KDOJ. And if we find that much money, we can get rid of the state portion of property tax right away for everybody.
Ooh. I want to talk about property tax. Is this a good time to segue?
Segue.
See, because I got 45 years being a street guy in the real estate business.
Yep.
I worked for the 3rd largest mall owner in the country. And I've done hundreds of millions of projects. I've done thousands of deals. But market value is what a guy will pay and what a guy will sell. That's it. And all this other stuff is kabuki theater. You know, it's hocus pocus. And so I want to freeze the appraised value on property tax, if we're going to have it, to, hey, what a guy pay, the market value, and not all this appraisals and comparables, because it's all nonsense. And we probably could save a few bucks from some incompetent appraisers. And I pointed out 4 listings just on my show of it's like the poorest person with the worst building paid the most tax.
Well, you better be careful, because you might find yourself nominated to be on the KDOJ team when I take the governor's
Oh,
office.
wow.
So we have the mayor of Topeka on the team, and as an advisor, especially with your knowledge of real estate, I would welcome it. Yeah.
Well, that's where I think I can help Kansas too.
Mhm.
And I tell you, let's play croquet on Cedar Crest.
Yeah, well, we're going to do a lot of things at Cedar Crest. We're going to recognize a lot of people and have a lot of
I want
events.
to get a game of croquet going.
Yeah.
But but it's deal making. You know, you can't. I look at our city council and like you could take each one of these individually. They're you know, they're nice people, you know,
Mhm.
but they're doing things like buying hotels and giving $9.5 million to the in crowd. But I can pick up the phone and call people and make deals, you know, that.
Oh, yeah.
And that, but attracting, we don't have a draw. We don't have a draw in Kansas. What is it?
Right, so the tourism aspect of all that, why would people want to come to Kansas? We have to think about that. First of all, we think about it, at least I do, and April and I have discussed it, building businesses, inviting SpaceX to come, inviting Space Force to come. That brings people, not perhaps in the same vein that you're talking about, but it brings employees, it brings interest, and it brings revenue. So that's one way to look at it. Now, as far as pure tourism goes, we could work on that. Kansas, I mean, I would like to talk to you offline about that and to pick your brain about what we can do, because that's an interesting component that I haven't spent on. What do you think? I mean, what do we have to offer? We have open spaces, we have Buffalo, we have people want to come in and see that. I mean, but
Well, last night, they had the riverfront as and here's what I'm so sick of. Deals got to stand on their own. You know, we're taxing people out of the lady, you know, over in Oakland, out of her house, and she doesn't understand city council and county commission and JEDO, the Joint Economic Development. She doesn't get it. What's all this? She doesn't understand. You know that when JEDO hires Go Topeka, I can't even go into a Go Topeka meeting where they're deciding where tax dollars goes. No transparency. And Topeka was voted the third ugliest city in Topeka. And
in Kansas.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm
where
sorry.
our governor is here.
Yeah.
You would think the
In
governor
Kansas.
would have more pride than that,
Well,
but she doesn't.
what
So.
Laura's just she's just like, well, it's her turn now to be governor. You know what I mean? The Dems got her in, and
There are Roman roads that are in better shape than some of the streets in this town.
oh, I know.
It is
I just want to be the
absolutely
mayor of the streets.
Yeah.
Get them all fixed. We've earmarked money for them, but we need to be able to have people come to our community, and when SpaceX is here and they're driving out to Cedar Crest, they got a nice place to go.
You guys lost Heartland Park too, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of a big deal.
Well, yeah, it brought who's the
I
guy
used
with
to
the
go.
blue eyes? Paul Newman. He used to come out here.
John Force did too.
Paul Newman loved the track.
Really, yeah.
I met him out in L.A. But, and, you know, I'm secure in my manhood, but that boy had some blue eyes.
Yeah,
I'm
he
telling
did,
you,
yes.
He did. Well, what else? What do we want to talk about? Let's cover some more ground.
So I think, let's talk about, and one of the straws that drew me into this race, you think about all of the issues that we've spoken about so far: child sex trafficking, property tax, election integrity, Second Amendment. What really pushed me into this was that satanic mass that they had, or the satanic group that gathered at our state capitol. You remember that, of course. And we had both parties, unfortunately, leadership. Governor Kelly, of course, you would expect her to come out and say, well, we might not like what they're going to say, but it's free speech and we have to allow it. And the president of the Senate comes out and says basically the same thing. And I'm just calling BS. BS. Ty Masterson, Laura Kelly, our founding fathers, again, back to the intent of the founding fathers. The founding fathers had no intent to wrap the blanket of free speech around Satanism. For the love of Pete, they would have been tarred and feathered or burned at the stake had they tried to do something like that.
So you think they'll be coming out with the Satan month?
Well, so yeah, that's about what
Is that what we're in
they
now?
probably already do. Right, in Pride Month and all that. Look, there are reasonable people out there in the world who might be gay or lesbian who don't push that agenda on the kids. And they're reasonable people. We are not against, I don't care what they do in their private lives, but to subject our children to this and make a month of it. When I'm governor, there's only going to be 2 flags that fly in Kansas classrooms, the American flag and the Kansas flag. None of this other nonsense. No.
And it's okay to have an opinion like that, right?
Yes, it's okay.
Because if it's okay for them to think the way they're thinking, we've got to be okay and not criticize or chastise for believing that.
And we have all been conditioned so much.
Yeah, political correctness is just to keep us in line.
Yeah, and that's what I like about April and me and our candidacy, is that no other candidate out there, look, you put April and I in a room, and if we're allowed to speak, we're going to win the room 9 times out of 10.
I'll give you more chance. I'm not chiming in.
None of these other candidates speak with the passion, the truth, and the charisma that we do. And that's not an ego statement. That's just an observation of the truth.
No, I can feel the energy here. This is great.
Yeah. So
I'm lucky. Thank you for being on the show here. I appreciate
well, no, it's our honor, and we appreciate you. It's
Yes.
But I do want to say that about the intent of the founders. We have been conditioned, all of us, to just accept the fact that things like Satanism are free speech and they should be allowed. That's nonsense. It's not the intent of the founding fathers. But free speech, and we've also lost the intent of the founders with what we're seeing from our judges in this country. Local district judges stopping a national agenda from a president wasn't the intent of the founding fathers, So there's a bunch of things, and people at first blush, when they hear me say that free speech doesn't cover Satanism, many people will go, but it's a religion. No, it's not. It's not a religion. And then the radical left will get into debate about separation of church and state.
Lord rebuke you.
Which is a myth. There is no separation of church and state. That's a quote from Thomas Jefferson to the Baptist Danbury Association that is continually taken out of context. Every one of the founding fathers, no matter how liberal they were, prayed. And they believed in the divine providence of God and its direction it took them to write and inspire to write our founding documents. So we've all, to some degree, many people in this republic have been conditioned to think that the founding fathers' intent is something other than what it really is. We're going to get back to the original intent, which means bringing back the divine providence of God.
Amen. I'm for that. I feel better. I feel better just thinking about it right now. So, hey, you mentioned a name. How about this Ty Masterson? How's he doing as president of the Senate?
Wonderful. I've met Ty only once in London, and that was at an event. Shook his hand, had a conversation with him. I think that the Republican supermajority has done outstanding work. There's more to do. Child sex trafficking. We have lots of really good laws on the books, but they don't talk about or tackle the issue of grooming, for example. So I want to introduce and work with Ty and the Republican supermajority in both houses to draft legislation that will close those loopholes. So there's improvements we can make. I think that their work with regards to the election of judges is a great win for us and for the state. So yes, and the veto of Laura Kelly's commu-socialist agenda, outstanding. So I stand with Ty. Have nothing bad, or there's no ill will. I disagreed with his statement about the black mass on the steps of the Capitol, but other than that, I have nothing personal against him.
Have you met Rick Clues?
I have not.
He's a cool dude. You got to meet him.
Okay.
And he's driven by the Holy Spirit. I go to his church from time to time, and I seem to gravitate to people that have gone through great change. Just like a complete, your whole life is just completely different, and that's what I like about Rick is the Holy Spirit's in him, and he's always had a good message. And
yeah, he's not afraid to talk about that.
Well, he's the majority, he's the majority whip.
Okay. Yep. Well, I need to meet him.
Yeah.
So
we'll set it. Hey, Rick, if you're watching, we're coming over.
Hello, Rick. Yeah.
Well,
April is, as she mentioned, a very prayerful woman. Her husband Sean. We want to bring that sense of faith back, because again, our country was built on the divine providence of God. We're so blessed to have these divinely inspired documents, our founding documents, the Bible. I mean, all of this will come back. And by the way, schools, April and I have discussed this. the decisions of curriculum are going to be removed from Topeka. We're going to give curriculum decisions back to local school boards and parents at the county level in every county in the state. Topeka and the Kansas Department of Education can certify teachers all they want. But as far as deciding what's in Kansas schoolroom curriculum, I have a master's degree in curriculum instruction. I used to be a teacher.
Really?
Yes, we're gonna take those decisions back, and we're gonna try to implement. I'm gonna try to get the legislation to implement, philosophy in school classroom curriculum, civics as opposed to just straight history, technology. Let's get, we called it shop when I was in high school. Let's bring back shop and the trades and teach these kids. And people will say, it begs the question, why philosophy? Why civics? Because we're not creating critical thinkers anymore. We've got a Kansas Department of Education that is putting in curriculum, which is really nothing more than a globalist agenda for the wussification of American youth across the state, and I'm not going to put up with it.
Wussification.
Wussification.
How do you spell that?
W-U-W.
No, that was good. I like
Right
that.
up on the board, yes.
The wussification.
We have had generations of people.
And we got the board right
Right.
there whenever you're ready.
Yeah. We have people parents who have convinced their children that the myth of gender misappropriation is real. That's a mental disorder. There's no such thing as gender misappropriation. God does not make a mistake when he assigns your gender at birth. And yet these parents and these groups, radical liberal lefts, not John and Jane Doe, who are normal, decent people, God-fearing people, who may have voted for Administrator Biden, but the radical left dare to teach these children that the only way they can achieve happiness is if they mutilate their genitalia. Now that's horrible, barbaric language, but we're the only people running for governor and lieutenant governor that are saying it out loud. It needs to be said because it's barbaric and it's evil. Day one, it stops.
So let's go back to the school board stuff because, my grandfather was on the school board here in Kansas, in Topeka, 501.
Good for him.
And that's why it's so important for people to get out and run for office.
Yeah.
So just by happenstance, he was a judge and an attorney, and he was in the peanut gallery during Brown versus Board.
Mm.
And then later he became president of the school board and implemented the change. We actually have a school named after us, McClure School.
Wonderful.
Yeah. But so after white flight, now we've got all these administrations. How are we going to cut the costs? How can we say we're going to have one administration for every county? Or maybe out west, several. I mean, I think we're spending way too much money today on administrations that might not be necessary. How can we take separate but equal? So we leave all the school boards in place, and then we just consolidate to one administration for those. Is that even feasible?
Do you have any thoughts on that, first of all? So it is feasible. So the county school boards, for example, in whatever county, Sedgwick, Shawnee County, those are county issues. I, as governor, would have little control over what they decide to do. What I'm saying is the 28 or 29, roughly 30 departments that report into the governor's office, the Department of Administration is one of them. All of them, day one, that's part of DOJ. The DOJ audits is going to audit every one of them to eliminate the redundancies, to get rid of the fraud, waste, and abuse, and that's where we can begin then.
Well, what about the money that trickles down in property tax? If we don't have to earmark as much money to the system, couldn't the legislature and the governor affect it that way? Hey, look, counties, you're just going to have to learn how to, you basically neuter them by the amount of money they get, and they're going to go, well, we're going to have to consolidate.
Right, and that's something that the legislature and I will have to work on. The governor can't, that's
I
what
understand.
you understand. But the governor will have a bully pulpit, and we'll be able to come on a great show like this with a magnificent audience and talk about it to the people and to get the message out. That's the bully pulpit. April and I will go across the state, even after we're elected, to continue to meet with and talk to the people. I'm going to continue my show at the right side. We're going to avoid and circumvent the legacy media to a degree. But we're going to take the message right to the people, and I'll work with the legislature. I want to work with Ty Masterson. I want to work with the House leadership on the Republican side. And by the way, any Democrat who wants to come across and shake hands on these issues and arrive at common sense solutions, I'm all ears. Let's do it.
You gotta meet this fella named John Akla. He's the first politician that's ever said, well, customer service, I'm here you're my customer, and I'm gonna give you service.
Yeah.
And for coming from this guy, it was like an amazing moment to hear a Democrat, and plus John himself, he and I've disagreed on some things over the past, but time has morphed him into a guy willing to give customer service as an elected official. Have you ever heard that? Name one guy.
I've heard it, and April,
Besides Trump.
that says to me, she mentions all the time servant leadership. What does that mean to you? Because you've told me about it, and I think she's spot on.
Yeah, I believe servant leadership is the only way that you can really do this with heart. Politics itself is very transactional. It can be very nasty and unforgiving.
Yes.
And so we want to bring that servant leadership mentality to these very, very crucial roles in our state.
What you learned in church.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, because I think that's what's going to bring people together. We have a lot of commonality, right? We have a lot more in common. It's just a lot of times there's distractions. We just don't sit down and break bread together like we need to. And we've got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And my background is sales, and I built a really good, long list of relationships. Here in Topeka is mostly where I've been, but I also sold in other parts of the state. So, yeah, that's where I'm at. I just love people.
Tell us about Olathe.
Oh, Olathe is wonderful. It's been my hometown for 35 years. Moved there, and it's, unfortunately, Johnson County is turning a little purple. We need to change that trend.
Yeah.
But I think there's common sense people out there that will hear April's message, my message, and we'll begin to make a dent in that. This is not, I want to be clear, when we talk about God and his divine providence, or we talk about the intent of the founding fathers, the radical liberal left will call us radical liberal right. We're not radical right.
You're not radical because you go to church.
Yeah, right. That's my point. And we are a centrist, purist, constitutionalist ticket, and we believe in the Constitution of Kansas and of the Republic. And that's what we are, is a republic. You'll notice that the Democrats never call us a republic. They say, your democracy's, because they're never going to say the word republic, because it's the root word of Republican. So they'll never say it.
The grand old party.
They're under direct orders not to say it.
Well, the process of dividing us has just been so counterproductive. And when the government said you got to go get a shot to live, I didn't. I said no. I think I know what's better for me. And there's some hocus pocus going on here. It didn't smell right. And so being an unvaccinated, church-going, patriot, gun favor, boy, I'm radical. I'm out there. I'm clear on the other side.
Right. Well, and April and I agree with you. I mean, we're unvaccinated. There will never be another mandated vaccine or lockdown in the state when we're elected. Look, I came from the health industry, and the masks and so forth were never about your health. The masks are and were political signaling. At first, they were assigned
For control.
For control, yeah. They're part of the uniform of the new Communist Socialist Party. The Democrat Party does not exist anymore, Henry. They have blended communism and socialism together. The Democrat Party of John F. Kennedy, are you kidding me?
He's a Republican today.
Bill Clinton's Democrat Party doesn't even exist anymore. Barack Obama, in his words, we have got to fundamentally transform America. That's what they want to do, and that's what you're talking about. That's why the radicalized liberal approach is to tear America down, the intent of the founders, do away with it, and then they added on to that, we must fundamentally transform America. They added on when they said, build back better. Now, they make these things appear to be just pleasant little campaign phrases, but when you look at those phrases, they mean it. They want to fundamentally transform America, and that is an anti-American statement. America does not need to be fundamentally transformed. The founders got it right. If anything, we need to be transformed back to their intent. So in their chaos, the radical liberal chaos, the borders, is probably the most obvious one. There's a lot of reasons why they opened the border. They want a new electoral base. They want to dilute the American identity with all of these people. It's devious. They don't prosecute criminals with extreme prejudice. They don't. They let them go early, if they prosecute them at all, because they believe when they do these things and chaos rains down, they believe that you and I in April and everyone else in this country or this state believe that we need big government to save us.
No, we need we need less government. We need
Right.
smaller. So, like as a real estate developer here in Topeka, we have tax incremental financing, community investment district, and Laura, she did bring us the rural housing, RHID. It's here because we have a housing dilemma. But the city council and county commission, they don't know how to develop. They put all the pain of development on the developer. But here's what I want to try to get to is if it's state law, well, that's it. You don't have to come kiss the ring of the council and then have them add more stipulations on it to milk the developer out of money. I want to try to figure out, and I'm going to ask for your help. How can we do that? You know, because you're going to have some clout around this town, and getting some people to fall in line. But if we just make development simple and create an even playing field, that you could pick up the development agreement and have an idea, and your friend puts up the cash to do it, that anybody can do it. And
You had quite a reaction there. Did you want to say something about that development?
I'm not sure that I agree with that RHID.
well, if
Because
you lived in
that's-
Topeka, it's really a cool thing, to tell you the truth. If you're familiar with TIF development, so all these three things, the developer puts up all the money up front. So if there's a parcel or a deal, we have to pay for everything up front. What we get to recapture is future tax dollars. So it's no expense to the taxpayer. And so if you didn't do it, the property's just gonna sit there and do nothing. But if a developer, having the deal stand on their own. The developer's willing to take a program and put their cash into it, and we get, for playing by the rules, we get to recapture some of the money.
So my understanding was that like in rural areas, you know, where maybe the economy is a little bit volatile anyway, because it's mostly just rooftops, it's houses, right? That if there's one piece of it that fails, I mean, you could lose population, right? And then you've got I'm not sure that I'm 100% in with that, because I know there's a lot of people against that in Leavenworth County.
It's a mechanism.
So
It's just a mechanism, so.
we'll talk tomorrow.
I'll tell you, no, argue online.
All right, let's go.
Yeah, so, July 13th, 1959, Stormont Vale, here I am. 119,800 people in Topeka. Today, 65 years later, 165,000. So we're in a failing community.
Yeah.
We're broke. One of the biggest things we need is housing and
Jobs. We need jobs.
well, no, what we really need to do is we need to teach people how to be entrepreneurs, because we did all the corporate welfare out there, the Bimbo Bakery, the Target, the Mars family are the last people that should be getting subsidies, Walmart,
Yeah.
all this corporate welfare
Yeah.
just to give the working poor jobs.
I'm all
So
about
we
small
got to
business.
train people how to be entrepreneurs. I think I'm going to get involved with a business or an idea called Boots to Business. It's run by the Department of Defense, and you
I've heard
help
of it.
you help military people after the war, start businesses, because that's all I've done my whole life. I was the little guy, going out and talking to the little guys. The national deals are easy to deal with because they know the program.
We have a very good friend watching your show right now, Missy Levitt.
Who's that?
Missy Levitt is out in western Kansas, and she makes a good point.
Mm-hmm.
Once these businesses get the tax incentive maximum, they leave. And
Well, yeah, because it's a game. It's a shell game. And I did it down in Florida. I was making a lot of money. And so what they do is they after their deal's up, then they start shopping. Where's the next deal weekend to go to?
So they're
You
trying.
know Missy?
oh
Yes.
yes, yeah, she's on our team.
Oh.
Hope I can say that, Missy. Oops. Hi, welcome to the team.
No,
Missy.
everybody sees that comment.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
So
But she watches my show from time to time.
Oh, she's a great gal.
she
She's
is a
great.
real patriot. So 44%.
Hey, thanks for tuning in.
44% of my county,
Yeah?
we're carrying the taxes for the rest. 44%,
Leavenworth.
absolutely, Leavenworth County. And they're wanting to bring RHID into our area, and it's not good.
No, you're looking at it wrong. You're looking at it wrong because you can build brand new market rate apartments or houses with RHID.
So it's not gonna divert money away from the schools?
No, zero.
I just wanna get more information.
But here's what you
about
got to
it, 'cause
learn about too. You know King Corbett?
I've heard the name.
Oh man, he's a patriot. Hey
Ravenwood
Ken,
Lodge, right?
yeah, Ravenwood.
Yeah.
Hey Ken, let's have him out there do a meet and greet.
Let's do it, Ken.
Let's do it, yeah.
But Ken was telling me. In fact, I gotta come out and talk to him. He makes the worst coffee, but I love it.
You must be really good friends to say that.
So, but he's telling me the other day that the unused tax credits that are out there that haven't been turned in could bankrupt the state. And Ken, I'm coming out, because I want to learn about it.
Mhm.
Here's the thing about it. When I ran for county commission in a Democratic area, I thought the Trump effect would help me.
Mhm.
We lost Shawnee County by 407 votes. And there are a lot of really nice Democrat people. This is Topeka.
Yeah.
They don't know any better. I mean, I voted for Ross Perot. I liked Ross Perot.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah.
Hey, you're going to hear a giant sucking sound, when you do this NAFTA. And we did.
And we did.
We
Yes.
did. But we've got to come together as a people.
We will
The
come
humanity.
together. We will bring people
The
together.
humanity of it.
Absolutely.
And so the way I look at it, would I make a good mayor? We'll find out if I get elected. But it's like walking by. If you saw somebody drowning, you'd help them get out, whether they're a Republican or a Democrat, right?
Well, most of the time. Oh, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yes, of course we would.
Well, I want to test Biden and see how
Yeah.
long you can swim,
Is AOC included? Okay, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah, she's included. Her and Elon get along so good. So talk to me about this. How do we get Trump to put the base here? We were a SAC base. We got all the gas here.
Yeah. Well, we talked to him. We're going to meet with him and talk with him. I mean, I've got Eric Trump on speed dial, so I can get to him that way. I'm friends with General Michael Flynn. April and I have met him. He's endorsed our campaign. So General Michael Flynn has.
Oh, I know who he is.
And so we invite him to Kansas. We go and we pitch it to him, and we say, look, it's the center of the country. I mean, logistically, geographically, it makes sense. You're a builder, Mr. President. Let's put the defense of the country where it belongs, in the center of the nation. The United States Space Force makes perfect sense. A major base right here.
We're the third largest runway.
There it is. I mean, I didn't even know that, so there you go.
So we need to take care of our western Kansas too.
The third largest runway. So if the space shuttle, remember the shuttle?
I do.
It was on the list.
Yep.
Number 3.
Oh.
Well,
yeah, we got to get you to know your town.
We have
You
to.
know where Cedar Crest is?
Of course, yes.
I do.
yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I was
That's where
actually,
my Trump flag is.
you know, that's how much of an outsider I am. I wasn't really sure where Cedar Crest was until I began to really look into this. I'd never seen it, but you better believe I have now.
so you talk about Johnson County going purple.
Yeah.
Talk about that for a minute.
Well, you know, we have a lot of bleed over from the Missouri side, Kansas City, Missouri, suburban flight and so forth, or I should say, urban flight coming over to the suburbs of Kansas on that side of the state. Again, you can't really talk about how Johnson County became purple unless you also talk about election integrity. And we have to begin to button that down and look at it with an honest and transparent eye. So Kansas, we have our hotbeds of liberalism. You would assume that major, towns that have universities in them would be such. Johnson County just does because I think there's election integrity issues, A, and B, there is urban flight from the Missouri side of the state line over, and some of the people who are tired, whether we like it or not, people do leave blue states and go to red states, but they don't shed their blue ideologies.
Right.
And they vote accordingly.
You remember the name Frank Morgan?
Yes.
I worked for his estate,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
Sherman drives us in for a year. I loved Kansas City, and Sherman tried to get me to stay there. And he said, just get your broker's license and we'll do deals together. But I had a great opportunity to go down to Florida. But I love the KC area. My daughter lives there now, and she's working for a big apartment developer. And she loves it. I'm kind of glad she got out.
Yeah.
She, because Topeka, I didn't hate Topeka when I left. It was easier to put up with as a drunk. I'm 10 years clean and sober.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Well, now I see what it really is. I see what you guys are all about. But what else do we want to talk to? How are we doing on time?
We're good. What's on your heart, April?
Yeah, come on.
Well, I got asked yesterday about what I would think about the Chiefs coming to Kansas side. What do you think?
Oh my gosh, I have no opinion.
Legends.
whatsoever. Yeah, if they do it, the Legends area, I assume, but I've really got to dig into that one before I give an official opinion.
I mean, it's got to stand on its own.
Yes, 100%. We're not going to fund it.
No.
No.
Every deal from now on's got to
That's how I
stand
feel.
on its own.
Absolutely.
People don't get it that.
Yeah.
And I'll shout out to my good conservative boy, Doug Bassett. He's always saying, Henry, every deal's got to stand on its own.
Absolutely.
And because I think that grants and the under the table payments, the Doge, it's gonna evaporate. We're just not gonna fund it anymore.
I think our minds are going to be blown at how much waste and fraud that is in our state. And we should have already have uncovered that by now. If there's actually a code, it should have already been. I mean, look at what the president and his cabinet's been able to accomplish in a lightning speed amount of time for this country. Why can't we do it here? That's what we're going to do.
Yeah, she's right. There's no reason why we can't do it
It's
in Kansas.
inefficient. Even the things that are checking on the inefficiency are inefficient. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes. And what I was trying to get at about the county commission, it just seems like the further you're in it, the higher up you got to go to get it fixed. So you're going to the right spot. You're like the mayor of Kansas, the governor. I mean, that's a very important job. Now, have you reached out to Kemp down in Georgia?
We have reached out. I've written letters to a lot of the Republican governors that are in office. I've not heard back from a lot of them.
Because isn't Kemp the head of it, the Republican Democrat or governors?
Down in Georgia.
He is, yes, the National Association of Governors. You're right. The reason I reach out to him, I've also reached out to Glenn Youngkin, believe it or not, who was a moderate who had success. And I've also reached out, obviously, to Trump. General Flynn is helping to a great degree to get us in touch with some of those tier 1 patriots. And we're gonna bring some of these people. To April's point, we are living in such an age of corruption, and I guess I tip my hat to a degree that there's this thing called COGE, C-O-G-E. Were you aware of this?
Yeah.
I mean, at least they're trying, but it's done nothing. And it's a website where they're asking people, hey, if you notice inefficiencies, go here and log it. Well, with all due respect, that's not what we need to do. We need to hire what April and I are going to do, bankers, financiers, tech people to come in and do what Elon Musk has done. Just audit every department that reports into the governor's office, audited. This is an executive order day one. It's a no-brainer.
I've got a stack of papers that after shows, people mail me stuff. And I've got some Shawnee County Doge stuff that I've got to get out there as fast as I can.
Yeah.
You know, I'm still active in the real estate business, and running for office is a full-time job.
It is. Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. Well, in April and I, to great sacrifice in our personal, I'm not Elon Musk as far as money's concerned.
Right.
I still have to work for a living, I can't just, and so here I am. I have a show, The Right Side, with Doug Billings. It makes.
Does it make some money?
It makes some money. It doesn't make me Elon Musk.
Okay.
But now, yeah, all of that kind of takes a second seat. And now I spent the last 5 years working through and using my severance and my 401k, much like other people in this country have done. So Doug Billings is one of the common people who's not sitting here on a mountain of money, but giving up a lot of things in the personal finance, my business, my home. I have 2 sons. One is on his own, 30 years old, married. But Michael, my 22-year-old son, has Down syndrome. Very high functioning.
Oh, wow, that's a lot.
Very high functioning young man. He went to JUCO, Johnson County Community College. He has a job. He comes with us on the road. He often speaks with me.
Man, I admire that. That's a project.
Yeah.
An angel.
Yeah, I would look, and that's another thing. We talk about the value of life and so forth as part of our campaign. And there are some Republicans out there that will say, don't speak about abortion, Doug, in April. Don't do it. It's a losing issue for us. Nonsense. Life is always a winning issue for us. My son, Michael, listen, if God were to come down and say, Doug, I'd be happy to make Michael a typical young man for you, I'd just get on my knees and say, no, thank you, Lord. You've made him perfect just the way he is. In fact, April and I, and April can attest to this, Michael loves April's husband, Sean, the Purple Heart veteran that we've spoken about so far. Sean's here today in your studio. And people who meet Michael are amazed. It's trisomy 21 is the official name of Down syndrome. They have an extra 21st chromosome. It's as if God gave them that little additional microscopic addition, takes away all of their venom, all of their prejudice, makes them happy almost all the time. They take joy in the simple, and yet people on the radical left will dare to suggest that when you're prenatally diagnosed in that kind of a situation, that's an inconvenience and you should be able to terminate. Well, life is never a losing issue for us, Henry, and we will fight to make life sacred again in Kansas.
Kansans for Life endorsed me as a county commissioner, and I've got to fill out their survey and do it again. I said, hey, I've only become more conservative since I filled out the form.
Yeah.
So a friend of mine, Ben, at the coffee shop, Ben is maybe similar, but I've just gotten to know Ben. It's like it's a whole, and his family dedicates their life to Ben. It's cool, and but Ben and I will take a walk around the block. He'll put the death grip on your hand, but it's great like that with Ben.
Oh yeah.
Because like the longer I know him, I know he has a little trouble verbalizing some of his thoughts.
Sure.
And they're right there on the tip of his tongue.
Yeah. I love it. Michael and I, in fact, today's Wednesday. Every Wednesday night, Michael and I have a date that will continue even after I become governor. We go to our local little pub in Olathe. It's called the Bar of Olathe, and we have karaoke night.
Oh, yeah.
And Michael sings Elvis like you've never seen, and he works the room. He will walk around that, shake hands, give hugs, and everybody knows him. I can't tell you how many people have come up over the course of the last couple of years with, thanks for bringing him out. You're incredible. And it's just,
you're not doing anything.
I'm not doing anything special. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, that's a good sign.
I'm going to have the Kansas Highway Patrol escort April and I to Olathe every Wednesday night. Turn on the lights, boys. We're going to Olathe for karaoke.
That's a nice side of you. I'm glad you talked about that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. It's part of my life. I have 2 sons. I'm going to be clear. Grant is on his own, a 30-year-old young man, married and new. I love him just as much, but Michael's always with us.
Yeah.
And he's He brings his own brand of specialness around, and I love it. Wouldn't change a thing.
Cool. Well, what else?
Missy Levitt says star bonds are sketchy.
She was talking about that.
Well, it's, as long as the developer has to personally guarantee the star bonds,
Yeah.
let's just change that.
Yeah.
Let's put the load, we gotta take the load off the taxpayers. You know, let private enterprise, do what they want within reason.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, in Ventura, California, when I lived there, after the planning commission, it was over.
Yeah.
You know, here we gotta put the planning commissions back together in Shawnee County. We have a Shawnee County Planning Commission, and we've got a city planning commission. The city goes out into the 3-mile area. So you don't have anybody in that 3-mile area you can complain to. There's no, because it trumps the county commissioners. There's nothing they can do, but there's nothing they will do. They don't have a backbone, really. They're not gonna stand up for unless you're part of the clique, you know, the oligarchs.
Yeah.
But, anyway, I think that as a mayor of Topeka, I can completely be a real estate developer and a broker with no conflict of interest. I mean, look, everybody knows everything I do. You can't get more transparent than this.
Right.
You know, Kansas deserves better. We're not victims. We know who we are.
Yeah.
We need to have our leadership come into the state, and we're going to utilize the skill sets of some really brilliant people to bring things to the table. We've got some serious things that need to be handled and done quickly. We're running out of patience. We need it to happen.
I want you guys to come over and meet my dear friend, Dana K. Anderson.
Okay.
So Dana was founder of the Mace Rich Company.
Mhm.
We got our start here in Topeka, and Dana made Mace rich. There was a guy named Mace and Rich.
Yeah.
But Dana made Mace rich. The whole thing worked because of Dana K. And one of his things that he did for the Mace Rich Company was decide where the Mace Rich money was going to go to the politicians. And he made us join USA for English, and he's a big contributor to the Heritage Foundation.
Wow.
And he's a good guy.
We would love to meet him.
Yeah, I want to take you over there. We can either go to the Bird Dog, or he lives in the Oriad, or there's a penthouse up on top.
Okay.
For 4 of them.
Okay.
And we can either go there or to Milton's and break some
Let's
bread.
do it.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Let's do it. Let's make a date when we're
Yeah,
out here, and
he's
let's
a
do
good
that.
guy.
Yeah.
And he couldn't even get stuff done here in Topeka.
Mhm.
It's how backward it is.
I mean, what kind of a legacy are we gonna leave? You know, what is our legacy gonna be?
Well, that's what you gotta think about
Our
as you travel
Gen Z.
through time.
Yeah, our Gen Z, they showed up in big numbers for the Trump election. Well, we need them. It's their time. So they're looking for hope. They want to be able to buy a house. And so that's what we're gonna do.
We've got to get everybody to stand on their own.
Yeah.
Back on your back hind legs. Don't look for the government deal. Yeah, take a job if you need money, but how do we grow business people?
And we need people to get involved. We don't have time for apathy. We need people to get involved. So if there are people that are watching or want to get involved with our campaign, we would love to have you.
Right.
Absolutely.
Doug Billings for Kansas.
Well, I like everything you're saying.
Thank you.
I really do. The Trump, reaching out and the speed dial, it's relationships.
Mhm.
It is.
And Cash Patel,
Oh, yeah.
I'm just finishing his book.
I've got him on speed dial too.
Yeah,
Truly.
I
Not
really
making that up.
admire him. I like, he won't take any shit from any
Yeah,
senator.
right. Yeah, he will not.
So, Tell me, when do you do your podcasts? Or you record them? Or
I record them. Yeah,
Okay.
most of the time I record it, and I try to do 4 a week. That's a little bit of the reason why I was late today. I had an interview that I couldn't shut down in time. You know, people keep on going and going.
Yeah.
But I try, since the campaign started, I've been 2 out a week. I really would like to get back to getting 4 a week out. But I drop them when they're, Facebook, Rumble, X, all of the usual places. There's a website called dougbillings.us. But I've really been steering people to the campaign website.
Okay.
So, which is Doug Billings 4, F-O-R, Kansas.com.
Okay.
And to April's point, there's a button people can click on to either contribute or volunteer.
So how much can a guy contribute?
So for an individual in Kansas, the individual limit is $4,000. For a married couple, it's $8,000.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's the same for a corporation. 4,000. I'm looking at Sean out there who might know. What is it? Oh, we don't know. We'll have to look it up. Okay, but 4 for an individual, 8 for a married couple.
So can you do 4 for the primary and 4 for the final? You're the only guy that's thrown his hat in the ring.
Well, yeah. So April
Right?
and I are the only ones who have officially
We're the only
filed
ones
and
that
paid the
officially
fees. Yes,
for
we're
the office.
There are several people out there who have claimed.
What do you gotta pay?
It's just over $2,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a percentage
Oh,
of your
well,
salary.
that was last year's. Since we were the first, we got the discount bargain. Thank you, Scott Schwab. We got the discount, but now it's gone up. Sean is motioning to me outside the window that it's gone up a bit. So the rest of the candidates, when they file that paperwork, will have to pay a little bit more than that.
So don't forget about our upcoming event at Touche's.
Oh, may I mention that? Yes.
Why not?
By gosh.
It's your show.
We're gonna gather in Overland Park, Kansas.
Okay.
On June 26th.
Okay.
It's a Thursday.
All right.
From 6 until 10.
Okay.
At a place called Touche.
Touche.
Open bar, thanks to April and Doug.
Okay. You gonna have coffee?
We'll have coffee,
All right,
yes.
all
We'll
right.
have coffee, yes. And soft drinks and whatever. But it's a fundraiser for the campaign. And so everyone is invited Thursday, June 26th, 6 o'clock at Touche, the nightclub. That flyer and so forth is on my Facebook page, the campaign page. Just look us up, or I can give it to you and you can put it out too. But Doug, Thursday night, the 26th, Touche, the nightclub, Overland Park, Kansas.
Well, so besides the show, do you work on anything else? I mean,
No, other than this campaign and my podcast, that's what I do.
Okay.
I had corporate America 5 years ago when I was terminated. I told you that story.
Yeah.
I haven't looked back. God is funny that way, isn't he? He often taps you on the shoulder and says, "Hey, Doug, hey, Henry, I'm going to need you over here for now. You've been doing this for a few years or long. I'm going to need you." So he just changed. I wouldn't go back to corporate America to save my life. Now, I'll consult with people from time to time and give advice on human resource and making deals, but the podcast is how I make a living.
yeah, I didn't fit in the corporate Mace Rich. We went public, but it was fun working for the entrepreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
And Mace died with $3.5 billion, and he said I'd had real money if I would have never got into horse racing. But that was a passion that he and his wife did. That was it.
Mm-hmm.
And his daughter still runs the horse company. But Mace, after World War II, was a tie salesman in Macy's, and he didn't have anything, zero.
Yeah,
And he just did his own thing.
that's wonderful.
You never knew the guy had a nickel.
Mhm.
And wait till you meet Dana Kay.
Yeah.
I'll make him
Can't
pay.
wait.
I'll make him buy.
Okay.
But he's really a cool dude. I've met Roger Marshall through him and Jerry Moran, and they're nice guys. I like Jerry a little better. Roger seems a little, I don't know.
We have a rally at Kane's Family Farm in Tonganoxie coming up.
Kane's Family Farm in Tonganoxie.
That's cool. When's that rally?
July 26th. It's out on Chieftain Road at 1 o'clock.
Okay, now is that where we were? The big red barn with the pool?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now is our guy from Leavenworth gonna be there at that rally?
Well, we're gonna ask him.
Yeah, ask him to be there.
We're gonna ask Senator Clem to be there.
Oh, Jeff Klem's a great guy.
Yeah, I wanna meet this guy.
He's
No, I know him.
I want to give a big shout out to Jeff Klemp. In fact, he's not endorsed us officially, but he's a friend of April and Sean's, and he's just done some tremendous work in his first term as a senator. Yeah.
Well, I think the guy that gets a Trump endorsement gets elected.
Yeah, we'll see. It's up to see. I hope we get that. It's
Yeah,
also
earn
it's also a business.
So,
We're gonna earn it.
okay,
It's also a business.
what do you mean?
Well, because those endorsements are bought, and we will see.
You wear a Trump watch?
I do not.
Let's get a couple.
Yeah, we're going to do everything we can. I've met with him. I've made April and Sean a promise that that's going to happen. That they're going to meet him as well.
I've stood in the same room as him, the Liberty Ball
There you go. Yeah.
in Washington.
But whether we like it or not, the world is that you pay for those things. I know that on the Missouri side, Governor Kehoe got an endorsement, but Trump endorsed 3 of the candidates running over there, so he's also done that. So we will see. We're not discouraged about any of that. We're gonna win this thing, because ultimately it's not, God bless President Trump, and I love him. There's no one that's a bigger Trump guy than me in April. But the grassroots of Kansas, they're gonna win this election. It's the
Absolutely.
people. It's the people.
Well, I believe you.
Thank you.
I believe that you're gonna be the governor of this state.
Thank you.
I do, I believe it.
Thank you very much, Henry.
And I ain't a pushover, I'll tell you that.
Well, and you're gonna be the mayor of Topeka. What a powerhouse. What if the
Absolutely.
3 of us together? Forget about
In
it.
Topeka.
Yeah.
I would look forward. I gotta tell you something, the existing mayor last night, he did a good job last night being mayor. He took a hot potato issue, and the way he handled it as mayor, I admired him after, and he and I have had some issues over the years, but I was actually proud of him. I'm glad he's retiring. I'd never vote for the guy, and he lacked leadership, but he had a moment, a mayoral moment, and I got some respect for the guy. And we can Topeka could be better. But here's the thing, even if Topeka just wants to be Topeka, this size town, and not, let's quit taxing people out of their houses to say we're gonna be a big deal. Let's not steal money and give it to projects that can't stand on their own. Let's don't do it.
Amen. Yeah. I mean, it's property tax, right? I mean, you own your ranch. You own
Well,
your
what
farm.
I'm talking about, besides property tax, I'm talking about the sales tax that we earmark for economic development and it's squandered.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Right.
Hey, by the way, I just got a quarter request opened up. $1 million went into the Wolf camera, and so actually take the 9.5 million to the AT&T building and add another $1 million to a concept that really failed. They gave this guy $1 million, said it was the best thing since white sliced bread, and it never came to fruition. But it's going to be over here with the new owners. Will be a lot better. And now it's $9 million. All right. Well, we're going to make the state better. The Doge thing is where it's all at.
Yeah. Yeah. A cabinet level position, day 1 executive order. I'll need the help of the legislature to make that happen. They'll confirm whoever will lead up and head up Doge. We'll disclose that at the proper time.
And we've talked a lot about the eastern part of the state. The western side is very, very, very important. It's kind of like almost sometimes they'll say 2 different states. But those farmers, they feed us, and we've got to figure out how to best help them too, because there's a lot of communities out there, they don't feel they have a voice, and that is very, very important to both of us. They are important. They are the backbone.
So do you have, hey, she's got another note there. Can you read it?
Missy says, have a blessed day, guys. Transparency is much needed for the good people, of all people. Yes, she's right. She probably had to take off. But
Now, what town does she live in?
I think she's in Colby.
Yes.
So is she going to run the Colby office for your campaign?
Oh yeah, to Western Kansas. Missy will head all of that up.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's like our strategy person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
We have an eastern one too,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's the eastern one?
Wichita.
That's southern.
Well, it's gotta be
Peter,
somewhere.
notice I talk Southern.
Southern.
Hey,
Wichita.
that's Southern, y'all. What are you talking
My
about?
mother was from Arkansas, so I know from my past experience, if you start talking like that, then I will too.
Well, this has been delightful.
Thank you, Henry. We think the same thing.
I didn't know you from Adam, but I thought any guy doing a podcast, you got the stones to get your word out there, your voice.
Yeah.
So I want to know more about the podcast. I want to promote it on my page. I get about 2 million views a year on my page here.
Well, good. That's
Hey.
good.
It's a start.
We get 2 million a month on
Oh,
my
wow.
podcast, and so we have 76,000 people in Kansas that are actively subscribed.
I like the way you did that. Hey, we get 2 million a month.
Well, caller number 9, you're a winner.
No, that's cool.
But we've been
Now,
blessed.
where do you do your podcast? On Facebook or
There's this.
no? But what's the platform?
Every one of them, Facebook, X. I record it, and then I just launch it out. I have a service that launches it out on.
Okay, who's that?
Buzzsprout is the name of the company.
Buzzsprout.
Yeah, now they put it out on the audio end, which is, most of my audience listens to the show. They don't watch it.
Okay.
But then, so I will upload it to YouTube, Facebook, and X.
Okay.
And Rumble.
Well, or MD, we're gonna get a quote, and we're gonna start wanting a group rate for all the people I'm bringing in to get on my program.
100%. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, so MD, we're gonna bring the prices down.
October of that, too.
Okay, but so we've got a late or where are we on in June 26th?
That's Overland Park, Kansas.
Overland Park
Yeah.
at the
Touche.
At Touche.
Yeah.
Then we're at the Red Barn in Tongi,
The Kane Family Farm.
Kane Family Farms in July,
Yes.
and then what's next?
The next one is in October. We're going to have a black tie fundraising event with General Michael Flynn.
Oh man, I'm coming.
He's going to come here. Dr. Doug Frank is
Now
going
where
to be here.
come here? Where?
It's going to be in Lewisburg, Kansas.
Oh, I like that town.
There's a place called the English Barn, and we're going to have it's going to be 200 people, black tie.
Oh well,
It's
you've
gonna
already
be-
got your guest list.
No,
No, we
we
don't.
don't. No, we don't. Yeah, there's always a spot for Henry.
Henry McClure Live. I don't even need a chair.
Yes, you do.
Walk around and talk
Don't
to
have a
people.
chair.
So those are the big hitting events. Other than that, we're going to hit the state. April and I, we're going to be in every county at least twice. We're making that promise.
Well, have we done good today?
You've been
Yes.
amazing. I'm so glad. Thank you for having us.
I don't know what I'm doing. I just want to talk to people. I love meeting people.
I met you, Sean and I met you at the GOP office here in Topeka.
Right.
That's where we met you, and you did a live, like right there on the spot.
Yeah, and I've got keys to the office, so you could use it too.
That'd be great. All right.
Hey, I think they're actually gonna make a media room in the back.
Well, that'd be good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just put the new ceiling tile in.
Good.
I'm looking forward to building relationships with the Kansas.
Well, yeah,
GOP.
plus,
Yeah.
yes,
Absolutely.
you should have relationships with them. But what an easy, right across the street from the house, I mean, the dome,
Mm-hmm.
the Capitol, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
All right,
Right there by the, that
Celtic Fox.
Celtic Fox, yeah. That's where we had a lot of our meetings.
My
Kansas
goal is to
Patriots.
buy the building across the street from a fellow named Howard Paul.
Is there a barber shop there?
Why do I need a haircut? No, we go to Fairlawn. We go to Fairlawn. My barber watches the
I know.
show.
Bruce,
Yeah, Bruce.
yes.
And
I
we're
know
gonna get
Bruce.
him to run for county commissioner.
Fairlawn
Come on,
Plaza.
Bruce.
Yeah,
Yeah, come on.
he spoke at one of our Kansas Patriot rallies that we had.
He's a good guy.
He is.
Well, thank you. I know
Well,
you're a
that's
busy
fine.
man, and we'll put some links on this,
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
we'll get MD to help.
Thank you.
I'll send you my YouTube statistics. We'll
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Well, now they'll go up.
Excellent. And we'll share it out everywhere.
All right, so we're going to give some applause here. Thank you, and thank you again. Henry McClure Live, thanks for being on the show. I love
Thanks,
y'all.
Henry. Bye, everybody.
Let me in.